sudden and dramatic reinforcement of troops has doubled the army's strength in South Armagh in the last week. It's too dangerous for the army to move in vehicles along the border roads of this county without presenting the IRA with easy targets and thus propaganda victories. Wherever possible, the army goes by air. Colonel Philip Davis commands the Royal Scots Battalion in Armagh.
And you see the problem here of these very scattered farmhouses. One will be Catholic, one Protestant, a very mixed community in this area. And of course, extremely difficult to provide adequate protection to anybody of any persuasion living in these isolated areas. There is a great deal of fear in this area at the moment. And I know that certain of the locals, both on the Protestant and the Catholic side, are moving into each other's houses at night to give themselves confidence and added protection. I have no evidence at the moment that large numbers in any way are moving out of the area. There may have been the odd one or two.
In this part of the United Kingdom, 100 people have been murdered since 1970, 56 in the last 6 months. The immediate interest in South Armagh is whether, following the spate of sectarian butcheries along these lonely country roads, it will mark the descent of Ulster into an even more degrading chaos. But Armagh also dramatizes afresh the issue of the border itself, and to the mounting restiveness of the Protestants. Small British towns like Newry and Crossmaglen openly flaunt the Republican flag.
The people are not friendly. They're not, on the other hand, overtly hostile, but clearly very strong Republican sympathizers. I have a base here in the RUC station. We have 6 policemen here, and we operate out of Crossmaglen itself, and we also maintain quite a large presence in here. There is the base right down there where the corrugated iron is, and our helicopters there. But the Queen's Wrist does not run here. That is a very interesting question. We are able to operate from here in precisely the way we wish to operate.
In Crossmaglen, it takes all the professional skills of the army to make it safe enough for the Royal Ulster Constabulary to walk around the town where they're charged with maintaining law and order. 2 of them have been gunned down here. Until last September, the police had not been able to carry out any police duties for more than 2 years. It's a Catholic Republican stronghold, and only one Protestant lives here. It's been possible to reintroduce the police to their own town only with army security bristling like porcupine quills all around them. In Armagh, unlike the rest of the United Kingdom, there is no question of the population as a whole lining up behind the forces of law and order, for that authority itself is the very thing which is so bitterly disputed. In Crossmaglen, not only can the IRA find safety, it's in effective control of the population. Sergeant, when you bring the RUC constables out like this, what sort of things are they asking in this shop, for example?
Well, sometimes they come along to serve road summonses for motoring offences. That's mainly their task, and they just come out to meet the people, talk to the people, and just to show a presence on the ground. You ready, boys?
Yeah.
The security forces in South Armagh, and particularly here, get no help at all in arresting the drift to a state approaching anarchy. Both communities, when under the thumb of the gunmen, seem determined to prove their incompatibility. And that is the basic dilemma of the liberal approach in Britain's present policy, which expects compromise and reconciliation. And so the security forces are thanked by no one and are either accused of falling down on security or violating civil rights. Police stations in Northern Ireland, like the law itself, are under siege. 57 policemen have been killed since the IRA began its latest campaign in 1970. Like the troops who guard and support them as the civil power, the police are lifted in and out by helicopter. In the fortified police barracks at Crossmaglen and in the town, Colonel Davis and the soldiers of the Royal Scots can maintain their military presence without difficulty. But they make it clear that they can do nothing about the town's Republican allegiance. And that is the political problem.
There is the border in there, just the other side of the border, where a lot of fairly hard-line people do meet. We know that. You know that the IRA meet in that pub, do you? We know that hardline provisionals do meet in that pub, yes. And that's the sanctuary that they have. That's right. Can you answer to the best of your knowledge this question about whether you believe most of the operations inside Armagh by the IRA are based inside Armagh itself or come from over here in the Republic? In my view, most of the operations by the hardline IRA are mounted from the Republic, in my judgment. That is not to say that there are not some minor operations which are actually planned and carried out within South Armagh. I think the really hardline stuff is planned south of the border.
The Army believes one of its principal security difficulties is the sanctuary available for the IRA just across the border in the Republic. And there are just not enough soldiers to police the maze of roads and crossings. The Colonel has one battalion of 600 men. How many more would be needed?
I think if you were going to absolutely saturate South Armagh, you could easily eke up 10 battalions. But in no way would that be on the extreme machine. But that is the sort of figure one would need. And to that extent, the security problem is insoluble. No, I don't believe that's fair at all. I don't believe the security problem is totally more negotiable between the soldiers. We do need some political will for the solution to help us. We do need the people to cooperate with us. And if these things happen in conjunction with the military effort, then I do not believe that things are solvable.
Newton Hamilton is another of South Armagh's small towns. It's been bombed so much that today it's a hollow shell of a place.
Foreign Spaceport Arms. Lee Springs. The charge magazine load.
This Royal Scots patrol is about to set up a checkpoint on the roads outside the town.
You probably know that Newton Hamilton's most bombed village in Northern Ireland. It's had so many car bombs and the devastation in the town itself is just unbelievable. There's something like 1 out of every 10 buildings left standing, and the other 9 are just rubble that's lying about the streets.
What do you think life is like for them?
Well, it can't be much. I mean, they're stopped at a barrier when they go out in the morning. When they come home from work in the evening, they're stopped at a barrier and their car searched. But they just seem to put up with it, they adapt to it. So it doesn't worry them anymore, or it doesn't seem to anyway.
Following the sectarian massacres of last week, the most visible of the Army's activities is a deluge of road checks throughout Armagh. The Army is conducting these round the clock, and during the week they've been stopping and searching up to 5,000 vehicles a day. These checks seldom, if ever, reveal anything, but their psychological effects are judged to be important. They doubtless make it harder for the terrorists to move about, but their principal intention is to reassure this battered population that something is being done. The soldiers work the longest, most dangerous hours in the United Kingdom. When they're not out, they're shut up inside the cramped barracks of their outposts.
They put about 16 hours a day, you know, and that's every day. And by the end of the first week, you're feeling tired, and by the end of the second week, you're feeling tired in the last week. And it just goes on for there, you know. So.
How many vehicles do you think you've checked in all the time you've been here?
Oh, Well, if I got a couple of bob, you know, for everyone I'd done, I'd be quite happy with it. If I got paid for the overtime of putting and stopping them, I'd be happy with it too. But the powers that be, you know.
Have you got any ideas about the situation? Does it appear to be one to you that you can help or make better, or how does it seem to you?
Well, we must be able to make it better because that's why they send us here in the first place. I mean, I hope we're making it better, or we're just the object of being here is just failed.
How many people do you believe you're up against? How many gunmen are there?
I think this really splits into two parts. We believe that those responsible for the psychopathic sectarian killings in our area, operating from the south, are probably in a group of about 12 strong. As far as the straightforward IRA terrorist is concerned, it's very difficult to estimate exactly how many we're up against, but I would believe a figure of around 30 would be fairly accurate. Not very strong.
Colonel, how important is it to you and your men here to have more cooperation than you're getting from across the border in the Irish Republic with the security forces there?
At the present time, we have very good cooperation with the Gardaí through the RUC.
The Irish police?
That's right, and I'm quite confident that really does work well.
Does it work quickly enough for you?
It does work quickly, and when we are operating actually in the border area, we can talk to the Gardaí on our radio sets, and we certainly work together. As far as the Irish Army are concerned, regrettably, at the moment, there is no cooperation between ourselves and the Irish Army.
Is it desirable and necessary that it should be, in your view?
I think it's highly desirable and indeed necessary.
The official view in the Republic has been that cooperation between the two armies is not necessary.
I don't see the point of it. We have a mission to perform. Presumably they have a mission as well. What their mission is, I don't know, and I don't wish to know. We have a job to do. We do it in our own way. I'm satisfied that we do it well, and I'm satisfied that we're doing it effectively.
And what about the SAS squadron that you're said to be getting? Is it here?
As you know, Mr. Wilson has said that the SAS will be operating in South Armagh, and I'm afraid I cannot say any more about it.
But what specific capability do they have, and which they will employ that you haven't done so far?
Very little that we haven't done so far, but a particular role of theirs is covert surveillance, which they're very expert at.
Which is going to give you information that you haven't been able to get so far from the local community.
To a certain degree, though, one's got to be very careful about bringing in the local community here, because in the south of our area, it is strongly Republican in sympathy, and no security forces will get very much help from the local community in that area.
Day and night, in the wind and the rain of Armagh, the Royal Scots, the oldest regiment in the British Army, are doing what they can to cope with Britain's oldest problem. Trying to damp down bigger fires which might glow at any moment after last week's murders, the army is now galloping all over this little turbulent patch of the United Kingdom. A great deal has been tried in Northern Ireland, and nearly all of it has failed. For many months, there's been no British policy in the province other than to leave it to the people and politicians themselves to see what they could come up with. And what they've come up with so far to start the new year is sectarian butcheries.
6 in each side. Okay, let's work.
Up we offer. Up we offer, okay?
Government policy allows the army only to respond to events. It can't